NUFC Matters shows for free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications option. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatterspodcast1892@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
Attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, the only thing that makes us all believe.
Good evening, welcome along to NUFC Matters. It is another episode of Ask George, and just before we get into the show, we just want to say that Newcastle United have been the talk of the tune today with the imminent arrival of Anthony Elanga. Newcastle United are set to pay a £52 million fee to Nottingham Forest for the services of the 23-year-old Swedish international winger. A 5-year contract is in place for him, and the formalities of his medical are set to take place tonight. And then Elanga will join his new teammates for pre-season training at Darsley Park. And incidentally, there will be a significant sell-on fee from that, which will be due to Elanga's previous club, which of course is Manchester United. The delays in the deal, which our good friend Stu Penman did say that it was going to happen this week, has arisen from a recent change of representation by Elanga. So a change of agent is the reason that the deal didn't go through quicker, and that is the only reason. So good news for Newcastle. Maybe the add-ons will take it to slightly higher, but £52 million fee being agreed. Got to pass his medical tonight, and then all systems go on the departure list following Callum Wilson yesterday. Could be Newcastle United's midfielder Sean Longstaff. He has been the courted, I guess, by Leeds United, Premier League newcomers, of course, and an improved offer of £12 million. But the 27-year-old looks set to end his stay on Tyneside with personal terms now said to be agreed. Longstaff's got 12 months left on his contract, and of course had a great career at the club, been here just over 20 years, 214 league and cup appearances since 2018, and he scored 16 times. 25 Premier League outings, of course, last season included just 8 starts, the last of which came at Brentford in December. So if Sean Longstaff does depart, then he goes with our best wishes. But that is your up-to-date transfer headlines to date. George, good evening.
Hello, Steve. All good news as far as I'm concerned. And wish Sean Longstaff well. He survived being Bruce Bald and all of that, but never let the team down when he was in the team. So good luck to him. Good luck to him.
Yeah, and Tom gets the first question in. He says, ask George, if Longstaff does leave, do you think Newcastle are planning on bringing in a replacement?
Well, do Newcastle need to bring in a replacement is the first question I'd ask, because there's so many in the club who could fill that slot. Hopefully, we're going to get a fit Lewis Smiley back again in the current season, and it gives them a chance to think about that, because there are one or two others who have been knocking on the door, but I would have thought that it pushes Lewis Maley up the list a little bit if he's fit, and look forward to that because he could make a real impact if he's fit. So I'd be inclined to think that the question is, do we need another midfield replacement to take on Longstaff, or are there players in the system who could fill the hole on a temporary basis as a positive substitution? And certainly that fits Lewis Maley.
Yeah. Gary says, I wish Sean all the best if he does leave. He suffered more than his fair share of abuse from some of our own fan base, which has been totally uncalled for and in some respects disgusting. Gary, got to agree with you there. And well, Jacob says, let's hope we see more of Maley this season.
Yeah, and about Sean Longstaff, if anybody's any doubt about what sort of player he is, look at Alexander Tunali's interview, where at the end he was asked who's the most underrated player he's ever played with. And the answer was Sean Longstaff. Look at the stats in the Premiership midfielders. The two midfielders that have run more than anybody else on the pitch, minutes on the pitch. Top of the list, Bruno. Number 2, Longstaff. So he's got nothing to be ashamed of. He goes with our good wishes, I hope. And certainly mine, because he's always worked his socks off. And as a positive for me, as a midfielder that I like, normally his first movement always is forward. It's not backwards. It's not sideways. You know, we've had all sorts here. Scott Parker doing his circles and all that sort of rubbish. Sean Longstaff is a forward player, and as I say, good luck to him. Good luck to him. He served us well.
Yep, here. We've got a couple of emailed questions in from Jeff, which we will come to in due course. And John Askew has emailed me a few as well. He's also put one in the chat that says, if a new centre-back doesn't happen, do you think we'll be okay with Byrne, Shaw, Botman and Lascelles still in the squad? It might free up funds for further up the pitch. The other side note, I guess, to add to today was on the on Sky News report of Elanga. They say that Newcastle are now moving to bring in another striker. So that was what they were saying today. They were also confirming that Newcastle still are trying to get the deal done with Burnley over Trafford. It's been quite a protracted set of talks, but Keith Downey's still very confident that Newcastle will be bringing in Trafford from Burnley. But yeah, the centre-back thing's interesting. Of course, he did mention that. He didn't mention any names, but said that Newcastle, of course, had tried to sign Mark Gahey, in the last window and failed to do so. But they are still looking for a right-sided centre-back. So John's question, if we don't bring one in, do you think we'll be okay with that back four next season, those 4 centre-halves?
We would be, but it would leave we're a bit thin, in my opinion, for the European games. So another one would be ideal. And the stuff I've been reading, it looks like we're talking to a young Italian centre-back who's quite keen to come. And obviously has got information about Newcastle United from Sandro Tonali. So that would be useful. But I think we could manage, but it would leave within. It would be a bit risky. All it would need was one of those to get an unfortunate injury like Botman did, or there was a period, remember, Byrne hurt his back, so he was out for a while. So it would leave a bit thin, but I don't think it would leave we're desperate. And good news about the striker as well. I mean, I've been reading about somebody that didn't put a name to, but they're talking about a big centre forward, somebody who is going to frighten the Premier League to death. Well, bring it on, is all I'll say. As I said through this week, I haven't got me knickers in a twist about the signings, because I'm sitting back thinking, well, when this happened, when Eddie first came, we sat and wondered what would happen, and lo and behold, suddenly Bruno came, Isak came, Trippier came. They all kept running on the pitch, and that they're the kind of signings I like. It's some that the press that have sneaked in under the radar, as it were. and they've all worked out very well indeed, even Botman to a degree. So yeah, I think this week we'll see a big change in it all.
John has another question. He says, we've been nothing but measured and competent with our transfer activity since the takeover, in stark contrast to certain other clubs. But those other clubs suffer no penalty. Do you think that's right?
Right or wrong, they've got away with some of it by the look of it. But I only worry about Newcastle United, to be honest, John. There's all sorts of things people are trying and doing, and I'm happy that that PIF have want to play the game their way in a profoundly sporting way, if you like. And if they think what they're doing is okay, then I can live with that. I'd be very upset if we were in the same sort of boat as Tottenham and Manchester and to some degree Arsenal as well, who are always looking for the second chance when and Chelsea particularly. All these things that are going on in the background. The day will come when the wheels will come off. There's no question about that. And I think PIF are making sure that if the wheels do come off, it doesn't hurt Newcastle United.
Okay, John with another question. He says, does George think Dominic Calvert-Lewin would be a good move? He costs nothing. He'd be more adequate cover for the main man when fit. I would take the risk due to PSR, but what about George?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, we've just, said goodbye to Callum Wilson. And the only reason we're saying goodbye to Callum Wilson because of his checkered injury history. But when he was on the pitch, he scored lots of goals. Calvert-Lewin would come with a similar checkered injury history, but hasn't scored all the goals. He's not a prolific goal scorer yet. He might be if he came here, if he worked with Eddie and alongside Isak, but I wouldn't be prepared to take the risk, even if he is free, because we've just put ourselves in a position of releasing Callum Wilson and to replace him with someone with a similar injury background seemed to me would be short-sighted. And yes, free, but in this life, nothing's free. It comes with a consequence if it doesn't come with a price. And the consequence with Calvert-Lewin would be the injury thing. And show me in the last 3 years how many goals he scored. It isn't many.
Jacob, good evening. He says, the new Superman film is out this Friday. Is George a Superman fan? And if so, who is his favourite Superman actor? Mine is Christopher Reeve, followed closely by 90s Dean Cain.
Oh, Christopher Reeve for me, and yes, I am a fan. It's they're the sort of pictures that take you out of yourself. So needless to say, I'm Star Wars, all of that thing, all that space stuff and futuristic stuff suits me down to the ground, takes you out of yourself and looks at something that you're not used to. And the other good thing for me with Superman is that the good guy's going to win. I can't stand films where the bad guys win. I like the good guys to win, and I think that's quite important.
Gary V, good evening, says, does George have any journalist whose stories he values?
Oh, yeah. I mean, locally, nobody can go much further than John Gibson and before him.
Alan Oliver?
Yes, Alan Oliver before him. They're people that if they wrote it in the Chronicle, you could trust. I wish we had the same level of trust with the current group of journalists, I've got to say. But it's a different world for them as well, I've got to admit. See, John was working for the Chronicle, and so was Alan Oliver. But now they work for a conglomerate. So what they think locally has got to be tainted by or touched on by what the national owners think, sometimes international owners think. There is another national journalist who I like, Times, come on. I can't spit the name out. You've interviewed him, I think, Steve.
All right, okay. I'm trying to think who that would be. I mean, the only other journalists we've had on here, other than Ross Gregory and Liam Kennedy, was Ian Murtagh from the Daily Star.
Yes, Ian Murtagh. Yes.
Yeah, Ian Murtagh.
Yes.
Okay, Roger has a question. Do you think Eddie Howe will try a different formation this season?
He's one for sticking with what works. So I think he might, in certain games, he might experiment with things to get a result. I mean, like he did in the 2 semi-finals against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup. Don't think Arsenal were expecting what Eddie Howe did to them in those 2 games. And similarly, the way the team played in the Carabao Cup, I think you'll see some changes, but I think his basic formation will stay the same. He'll just adapt it like he usually does to what's facing the team. Depending on who comes in and what sort of support we've got for the front two, or for Isak, I think he could surprise people with some of the things he might do in Europe when we play against teams that are 9 men behind the ball. I think we could see something a bit more adventurous than we're used to.
That's what I was talking about yesterday. I think yesterday when I said we do need a lock picker. We need somebody who can create chances for our forwards when we play teams like Brighton and Fulham at home, where we were dropping points against them.
And I think if he gets somebody like that, then I can see us doing things differently when going forward against teams like that.
Yeah, and the Dortmund games in the Champions League last time around, home and away, they sussed us out. So we need to have somebody who can change that,
And we didn't have anybody on the bench to change it either, and that was the other thing. Whereas hopefully this time we'll have learned, and we will have people on the bench that can change it, and alter things on the pitch. That's been the last couple of years. That's been our big bugbear, is that the difference between us and the ones above us was that they had people on the bench who could come on and affect the game. We had people on the bench who came on and did a job but couldn't affect the game that much, especially when we had 3 bloody goalkeepers on the substitutes bench. That's not going to happen next year, I hope.
Yeah, Gary, that's the kind of player we need, a Foden or a Peter Beardsley. It is that kind of signing that I'm talking about. Okay, Jeff did send some questions in. Which ground, he says, does the best hospitality, George? Have you had much hospitality at football grounds?
Not in recent years. I mean, I've enjoyed some at St James's Park as well, but away grounds, well, some of the best hospitality I've had have been when I was friendly with the director of Sheffield Wednesday. And occasionally he used to invite us to things if I was in the area. And they used to do fantastic hospitality. It was really, really nice. And old-fashioned style, really, really, really nice. And the nice thing about it was you could choose. You could either have, if you were a pie and pea man, you could get that. But if you wanted 5 courses, you could get that as well. So, Sheffield Wednesday that's really different hospitality. I used to get a lot of hospitality at another ground not too far away from that doesn't exist anymore, called Joker Park. And I sometimes used to do some promotional stuff for a building society, the North of England Building Society, and because they used to sponsor my sports council. And as a thank you for the work I did for them, I used to get tickets for the hospitality box at Roker Park. Sometimes used to take our Neil when he was a teenager, and some of that was brilliant as well. The thing I remember most about that was the gifts that they used to give. You know, I've got a couple of I don't know if that's, well, I think they're still upstairs. Neil might have took them to Dubai. I don't know. I've got a couple of cashmere scarves which are really, really, really nice. And they're black, so it doesn't matter where they come from. I can wear them like a spy. I can wear them undercover, and that hospitality is quite nice.
Okay, Marcus, good evening. He says, George, what is the biggest ship you've been on?
Been on? Oh, SO Northumbria. I actually had the pleasure of going on SO Northumbria for a short while, because we did a lot of work in the towing tank at the university on the underside of the hull, the bulbous bow and the propellers and things like that. So I got the opportunity to go on the SO Northumbria. On passenger liners, well, I've been on one or two passenger liners. The first was a very old one when I was just a young apprentice. Went on the Bergensfjord, which was built in Swans for the Norwegian American line, and that was quite interesting, particularly as a young man. And in latter years, I actually got the chance to go on the Oriana before she was decommissioned, and that was interesting, because I actually did some work on Oriana when they were designing it as a young naval architect. So, but lots of others in between.
Mark Byers, I think this one's definitely one for when we've got the lads on. Using NUFC players' names only, how many can you link in a row using their first and last name? I can only get 3. Lauren Robert, Lee Clark. All right, I see. So Lauren Robert Lee Clark.
Yeah. All right.
It's very, very complicated, that, for a Tuesday evening. Yeah, Mark, maybe his email is that one. I'll ask the lads. I'll let the lads prepare it beforehand. It's not one we can answer like off the cuff. John says, after decades of Toon fans being told expectations are a bit too high, does George think that under the current circumstances, the Magpies have every right to have high hopes?
Yes, John, I have, after 70 odd years. And remember coming out of 14 years of dross from Ashley, and that was unnecessary. He was a fool, really, in some ways. He could have been a hero, and he left as an idiot, really. But never mind. Yeah, I think that we worked hard. Everybody worked hard to get this takeover through, and stuck by the people who stuck by us, encouraged by Amanda Staveley and Mairdad, of course. And having done that and been patient and celebrated with PIF when they took over, everything that has come out of them, of PIF, should give everybody cause for enthusiasm and optimism. We've got a chairman who keeps telling us he wants to be the top. Well, if you look at everything else he does, all the other sports he's involved in, golf, you name it, he's involved at the top. And they've just finished sponsoring the World Club Cup, and they're getting ready to be part of World Cups and things like that. So I think people have a right. They've earned, in my opinion, through their patience, through the Ashley years, and through their patience in supporting this takeover, that they have every right to expect something will happen. I certainly am quite keen and enthusiastic about the future for Newcastle United, and would be very disappointed if it disappears now. I don't think there's any chance it will. PIF won't let that happen. Not now they're here. People should remember as well, of course, that's the successful takeover. You and I and Neil and Hasty and others, we've been involved in about 5, I think, isn't it, Steve? Takeovers, and all of that work went on under the radar, and in my opinion, the best one came out on the top. I mean, they are the biggest company in the world, basically. So if we can't breed, or they can't breed a success out of what they've got and what they're doing, then I defy anybody else to. So yes, people are right to be optimistic, John, and I'm certainly optimistic in a way I've never been for a very, very long time.
Thanks,
I don't. Sorry, the last time I got as optimistic as I am now was when the Magpie Group eventually took over at St James's, and Sir John Hall and Freddie Shepherd, etc., started to change things, and then Kevin coming in, and we had the entertainers. It looked like we were going to challenge the world. That the wheels came off was really disappointing. I don't see the wheels coming off this one in the same way. No, I think people are right to be optimistic.
Thanks, Mark Byers. Got your question. I'll ask that to the amigos. I will send it to them. Gives them a bit of time to get things sorted out with that. Okay, halfway through the show, we'll have a quick ad break. Back after this.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them at www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at their website, mrvickys.co.uk, email info@mrvickys.co.uk, or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. 2 crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges. Hot and cold snacks and drinks available on the coach, all excursions included. Their website, unitedgrouptravel.com, email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com, telephone 01670 632 460 or 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. And if you like listening to us as a podcast, you can go to Sports Social Podcast Network or to iTunes, Spotify, or other podcast providers. If you want to support the show, then hit the subscribe button. It's free. We do 7 shows a week. Hit the little thumb up under the video, which is the like button, or click share to share to your social media. You can also join the channel on YouTube by hitting the join button for as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to become an NUFC Matters member, you can go to nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk. It's a £25 one-off fee. You get your pen, you get your badge, a key ring, you get your beer mat and your fridge magnet and your membership card, nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk for that. And we have an event early next year, 13th of February 2026, an evening with Beardsley, Waddle and Gascoigne takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House. To buy your tickets for that event, go to the box office 0191 243 1171 or Tyne Theatre and Opera House.uk.
And just a reminder, we have a screening of the Cup Final. The Cup Final, Carabao Cup Final, 25th of July, Friday night. And it is a free entry event. We've sold, we have 40 people coming so far, 60 tickets left. And if you enter this, you do have a chance of winning a replica medal in a nice little montage frame just for coming along. So make sure you get on our website, nufcmatters.co.uk. Get yourself along and come and watch the Cup Final again with the NUFC Matters crowd. I do have to keep pushing this as well, the fanzine. I think we're up to 44 subscribers now. And we have slowed down a little bit on that, but we do want to get it to at least 100 if we can, so we can get these printed ready for next season. But 4 issues for £25 is the offer this year. That includes your postage. So 4 copies of the fanzine. If you've enjoyed it, please resubscribe going to nufcmatters.co.uk to do that. And we've got a whole host of shirts and stuff on that website as well. Merchandise is on there now. I think I showed a couple yesterday, the Isak and Dan Byrne Carabao Cup final shirt is on there. We've also got Bruno's, like a Bruno Cup final shirt on there, signed by the man himself, and some Anthony Gordon Carabao Cup shirts as well. Of course, he scored in both semi-finals, as well as a few pictures of different players throughout last season. Murphy, Isak, and Tino there, and Alexander Isak as well. But just go to our website, nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk, and click the merch button, and you will be able to buy them. Big thanks to Danny Mitchell for supplying all of that stuff now. John says, that's why I'm buzzing, George. The Saudis don't do second best. Good to have the Reuben brothers on board as well. Yeah. Mark Byers talking about new signings. He says, as a 10, I'd have taken the lad Arsenal just signed from Brentford. Clever little player, absolute bargain fee as well, called Nogard. And
I
agree. Ross says, I listen to George on all of the shows. He's such an honest, dignified man with a great knowledge, not just on NUFC, but life itself. Thank you, George. Just brilliant.
Oh, my pleasure. It's I've been lucky. I've had a very interesting life in professionally and all the other things that I've done. So if I can share that and help people along, well, I'm happy to do so. So that those kind words are really appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, Jeff, with another question. He says, George, what is your favourite or most prized sporting award?
Oh, there's some little ones that I got when I was a kid, which I enjoyed, but the one that really matters, I think I've showed it on the day I met in the 80s when Keegan was our when Keegan was our manager. I was doing a lot of work with my local sports council, and working hard with none other than Malcolm Dix, the beloved Malcolm Dix from Newcastle United. And unknown to me, Malcolm Dix nominated me for an award to the Sports Council, Sport England, they call them now, the National Sports Council. And I got the award. I was made an ambassador for Sport England, which meant that I got involved in projects all over the country, going and helping little clubs to get a grant to develop their facilities and all the rest of it. And it comes with a nice a plaque that they give you mounted on hardwood, and I received that from Kevin Keegan, and I think Steve's seen the picture, and I'm sure I could dig it out if somebody else wants to see it again. But that award was quite important because it was a lot of hard work to get it, but more than that, to have somebody like Malcolm Dix and other senior people in Sport England around the country, not just locally, nominating me for that was quite good. So that's one that I do treasure.
Okay, good stuff. John Askew says, Chris Wood had a marvellous season last time for Nottingham Forest, deservedly so, but we all know he's no Shearer. He was massively helped by the creativity and assist of our new boy. If Elanga can provide a boatload of goals for Woody, how productive does George think he can be linking up with Alexander Isak? He looks a good signing to me, he says.
Well, key to a lot of Isak's goals last year was service from the right-hand side from none other than Jacob Murphy. Now, if Elanga can better that, and if you look at the stats, the only person that was above, one of the people who was above Jacob Murphy for assists last year and the year before was Elanga. So, sky's the limit as far as I'm concerned. That's what's got me really, really looking forward to what's possible. Bearing in mind, of course, it's not just a club partnership; it's an international partnership. He's already doing it at an international level for Sweden, so that the understanding that they might have it could be colossal. And I think, I can't wait for it to happen. Is the honest answer, and I'd be very surprised if it doesn't improve things. There's no doubt that Chris Wood benefited. If you watched Forest games, there's no doubt that Chris Wood benefited from the service he got from Elanga. But I'm not a one to decry Chris Wood either. Chris Wood's slightly underrated player as far as I'm concerned. he did a job for us, and he did it in a particular way that our particular managers wanted, and that was fine for me. But it with being let loose with Elanga on the right side, it made it easier for him to get into goal scoring positions. So, but I'm waiting desperately to see how the two work out together as they have for Sweden.
George, you're a true Newcastle legend to me. It's an honour to be on the same show, says Barry. My dad raves about Jinky Jimmy Smith. How good was he compared to Terry Hibbert?
Oh, slightly rate him above Terry Hibbert in the sense that Jimmy Smith was not just clever and quick. He had a deadly shot. He could score goals from almost anywhere. And again, another great player who we lost because of injury, which quite sad, really. But yeah, devastatingly good player. And he got the name Jinky Jimmy Smith because of his particular style of dribbling and beating people, which was only slightly ahead of Terry Hibbert. I'd say where Terry Hibbert matches him is that in killer passes, Terry Hibbert could put a ball on a sixpence. You ask Supermac, the Burnley semi-final in the FA Cup, 2 goals, both supplied on his toe by Terry Hibbert, slicing the Burnley defence in 2, and just Supermac had to run on and stick it in the net. So both great players, but I'd just slightly place Jinky Jimmy Smith above, and what a great character as well. Yeah, absolutely. The thing about Jinky Jimmy Smith was he came from Aberdeen, and of course I have family in Aberdeen. And in the summer as a youngster, I used to always go up for a bit of a holiday with my uncle in Aberdeen, and saw Jimmy Smith developing as a kid as he started to play for Aberdeen. So thrilled to bits when he eventually came to Newcastle United. But what a player, yes, yeah.
Terry Hibbert is Les's favourite player, and crosses took my breath away. I was lucky enough to see him play for Gateshead for a full season as well, winning the Northern Premier League with Bob Toppin. Yeah. So, yeah, unbelievable talent even at that age was Terry. Roger says, did you ever have anything to do with the UK's old aircraft carriers, George?
Yes, some of them, because they were still in commission when I was training. I had a lot more to do with the newer ones because I was involved in the university. We designed for the Navy the propellers for those carriers, Ark Royal and Illustrious, and so I had more to do with them. So I just caught the tail end of the refitting of the Albion, which had a reputation on Tyneside of being called the Iron Lung. It took so long to build. Everybody worked on it in the shipyard, so it became known as the Iron Lung because it kept the whole town alive. So that old one on the aircraft carriers had more to do with the frigates and destroyers. The Type 23s, for example, had a lot more to do with them, and actually sailed on one of them with the naval research people, the people who used to do the Royal Corps of Naval Constructors, who used to do all the naval research. So yes, I did have a little bit to do with it, but not a great deal is the honest answer.
Okay, Gary says, George, how do we get this youth system for Northeast talent up and running with NUFC involving the local kids clubs? Does the club need to focus long-term in nurturing young local talent, do you think?
Yes, we need to renew a scouting system which served us well, that found us the Beardsleys and the likes, that seems to have disappeared. One person that could talk to and still talk to, because he's still around, is Peter Kirkley, who used to be our youth development officer for a little while. And the number of stars he and a man called Brian Watson, who I knew personally, who found, and Peter Beardsley is one of them. And they had a network of people that worked with them. And you could hardly go to a game without somebody who was there. who was working with Watty, as they called it, Brian Watson, or with Peter Kirkley, and they developed and found so many others. What I find irritating is if you go south of the Tyne, and I hate to say it, but when our Neil lived in Consett, and Joss, my grandson, Neil's stepson, used to play for a team at Anfield playing, and we used to travel, take him to matches all over Durham. Every match there'd be somebody from the Sunderland Academy there, every match, and not just watching, coming around the touchline and talking to parents and making themselves known and all that sort of thing. I can't remember the last time I went to a match and I could identify somebody from Newcastle United doing the same sort of thing. So that, yes, the premise that you're posing is the one I recognise, and there needs to be something done. And they could do much worse than sitting down with somebody like Peter Kirkley and saying, well, give us a starter for 10. How did it happen? Where did it go? I mean, there are even some of our biggest schools that always used to produce lots of players, like the school I used to be chairman and governors of at Burnside and Wallsend. The Carrick brothers, Steve Watson, Alan Thompson, all from our school, the Seeley brothers, all Premiership players. I'm not even sure if the school has a team now. Well, that's something that's got to be put right. Definitely something that's got to be put right. There used to be a branch of the academy at the Monks Eaton High School. Well, Monks Eaton High School's closed now. So, and the little bits of work that I see Peter Beardsley doing with his coaching school, they could enhance that, and add to that. So I understand the question. There is some work to be done in that area, in my opinion. I agree with you. And if I was involved, first person I'd be talking to would be somebody like Peter Kirkley that's been doing it for 40 odd years, to say, well, how do we start it? Where do we get in touch with people? Who do we talk to? Is where I'd go.
Yeah, good point made by Mark as well. He says, I think it's getting harder and harder to find the new Gaza because the coach natural flair out of kids nowadays at a very young age. They just need to let the kids express and enjoy themselves. Yeah, they don't play enough football, Mark. They're not allowed to play enough football, especially if they get scouted and taken to another club, and get deals with a club. And that's probably right, Mark. Very much so. Barry says, George, with a complete failure, that is the club's FAB. How could it be fixed, or should it be scrapped before it becomes a laughingstock? And if they ever asked you, would you be on it?
Well, the FAB could become a laughingstock, Barry. I think that's where they are now. I mean, some of the things that come out and some of the things that don't come out that they're expressing views on, and the very fact that they were trumpeting the fact that one of the senior people on the FAB hadn't even attended an away game was laughable, and the performance since, in terms of what information they get and don't get, and give and don't give, I've never had any contact with them. I've never had any emails or anything from them, or any literature at all from them. And I would have thought that should be a prime thing they're doing if they're advising our club on fan issues. They should try at least and have a modicum of separation and be seen, if not actually independent, be seen to be independent. It seems to me that to have an FAB which from the outside looked hand-picked and has performed as though it was hand-picked, and is now having to cover itself in terms of things they've been getting by inventing charitable donations for gifts they've been given. That all is not good for the club. And the honest answer is, I think you've said it. It needs a rethink. It needs a restart. Stop and restart, and to get it up and running, get it some credibility. Because at the moment, it has very little. I wouldn't dare mention it in the bar 1892 when we're talking about football things before the match. You would get shouted down because nobody in there even knows what it's about. You know, it doesn't have any standing at all. When in fact, it should be on people's. If it's doing anything good, it should be on people's fingertips, on their tongues when they're talking about Newcastle United.
Yeah.
You know, and things like the big supporting areas, like by 1892, for example. Why not? Why don't they set up a desk or something in there and say, you know, suggestions? What are we doing? So I know that sounds trivial, but at least they would have sight and knowledge of who these people are. Whereas at the moment, that they're just nothing. They're just nothing.
Yeah. Those of you interested in the tennis, Alcaraz has one set up already against Norrie, record-breaking time, really 6-2. Yeah, it's going to be a long old afternoon, or a short old afternoon for Norrie. I think the only English survivor now in Wimbledon on the men's side. But he's given a good account of himself. Gary, you're right. What I'm seeing is a loss of playing fields that are still available to use for football being left to overgrow due to cuts. Kids need to play outside of school like I did as a kid. JJ says, Gary, the 5 pitches on the team valley are all gone. Every factory had a team. Yeah, it's not what it used to be.
True. That's true. Absolutely.
And kids just aren't playing outside anymore, says Marcus.
Well, in part, and I've got to say that some parents nowadays would be reluctant, depending on where it was and who they were playing with. But look at all the factories along the river. You know, that they go from the top end, Clellans, Slipway, Northeastern Marine, Swan Hunters. Swan Hunters used to have about 3 or 4 teams themselves. Naval Yard at Neptune, Neptune Yard rather, Naval Yard at Walker, all had their own teams playing in local leagues, and Swans had one of the best cricket teams in the area as well. So that all of that's disappeared, and that bound to impact further up the line. But there's a disconnect. There's no doubt about it. There's a disconnect.
Yes, Mark says the FAB are just a tick box exercise by the club, in my opinion. International Paints did have a couple of teams. I played for one of them back in the day. Felon Greyhound. I used to play from them. We used to play on a Saturday afternoon whenever Newcastle were away and I couldn't make it. I was signed on as part of that team. John had another question. Do you think Isak is a natural number 9? Some in the fan base think he would be devastating as a roaming number 10, where his pace, trickery and creativity might be very well used and would be an alternative to the 4-3-3 high press. And how the heck did he end up scoring 26 goals last season? I think he was either missing or restricted for about half the season. What a player. Is he a natural number 9?
I don't think he's a natural number 9. He's a natural goal scorer because he gets sight of the goal and you know where it's going to go. I mean, that goal he scored against Liverpool weren't expecting him to shoot from where he was. Certainly Liverpool goalkeeper wasn't, because it was in the back of the net before the goalkeeper even moved and hit so quickly. So in the sense, he's a natural goal scorer, but I don't regard him as a natural number 9. He doesn't have the... Well, we've been talking about Chris Wood. If he had the hold-up ability that Chris Wood's got, he would be unplayable. I mean, he's almost unplayable now because of his trickery, but there are bits of his game which don't fit a natural number 9, is what I'm trying to say. And but I don't mind that if he keeps scoring the sort of goals he does. I'm not too upset about that. But I wouldn't call him a natural number 9. I'd say he's a natural goal scorer, which is slightly different.
Elanga's plane has landed. Yeah, I've seen a few of the train spot, the plane spotters. On Twitter have already announced that he was here. So that is very interesting. Mark Byers.
Just went over my house while we've been talking.
You can only pick one as a backup bench warming striker. Who would you have, Calvert-Lewin or Jamie Vardy?
Oh, if they're coming for free, I would go for Vardy. You know what you're going to get with Vardy, and he's not injury prone.
8 or 9 years old, I thought, George.
Yeah. Fortunately, he's kept himself very, very fit. I think we sometimes go over the top with age. If players have kept themselves fit and used their bodies wisely, then you can get another couple of years out of them. So I would be inclined to risk Vardy, because the one thing he brings is hitting the back of the net.
Okay. Barry says Shields Gazette have said we've agreed terms with Trafford, just need to agree price with Burnley. George, what would you do with Pope? I mean, I would say Pope's still first choice.
Yeah, at the moment, yes. I wouldn't be in a hurry to get rid of Pope. Some people are saying that Pope will go in the opposite direction. Well, if he does, good luck to him. But I wouldn't be in a hurry to get rid of him. The one, there'll be others to go long before Pope, like the Greek,
Vlachomidos.
Vlachodimos would go, and Gillespie and others long before them, and long before Pope. And even Martin Dubravka would go before Pope for me.
Okay, who's the greatest English goalkeeper you've ever seen? Says Gary.
Oh, it's got to be Gordon Banks, really. I think. Yes, Gordon Banks. By a little bit. Chilton was good. No, Gordon Banks. Yeah, Gordon Banks. Some of his saves are special. Especially in the World Cup in South America, he made one or two saves there which were unbelievable. Were so good.
Mark Byers said Vardy would be his choice as well. Ian Brownlee says as a backup striker, I'd go for Ferguson at Brighton. John Askew had another question. He said, are you more confident that we can achieve top 4 next season, George? There's sometimes a tendency to get a little carried away, but I'm a bit more confident than 48 hours ago. Clearly, the signing of Elanga has whetted John's appetite.
Yes, well, I've got to say I've been confident since we won the Carabao Cup, John, and the fact that we were the only team that won as many games as the champions did.
Yeah.
If people look, Steve said it before about the silly games we lost because we couldn't unlock Brighton, we couldn't unlock Fulham, and Bournemouth, and we give those points away. Normally they would be in the bag for us. Had they been, we would be knocking on the door, man. It wouldn't have just been 3rd, 4th place. Would have been knocking on the door, 2nd place, and even pushing Liverpool a little bit. So, but the way we played in the Carabao Cup said to me that there's something special in our group of players and our team, and that when the pressure's on, they'll find that little bit extra, especially if we give them some help, like Elanga and whoever else comes in. So I'm quietly confident as well, John, that top 4 is not impossible. In fact, that if we don't, I'd be disappointed, to be honest.
Okay, another question from Jeff, and it is: have you ever encountered outright cheating at a game?
Oh, Jeff, every match I see outright cheating. Yes. Yes, I once actually played in a Northern Intermediate League game, and Newcastle got a free kick, and we had a lad who played for us called centre forward called Carl Wilson, and Carl was always up to all sorts of things, and Carl got a free kick just by sheer cheating. It was as simple as that. And left a sour taste in some of my mouths, but on the other hand, it ended up being successful in the sense that not only did he cheat to get it, he stood up and took it and scored because he had a hell of a shot on him. He once played for the first team. He got into the first team by strange means, and got one game of Charlie Minton and never played again in the first team. Had an interesting career on the continent, but came back to Gateshead, I think, in this country eventually for a little while. But yeah, out and out cheating. Yeah.
Okay, another one from Jeff. What would you choose as your final meal on the way to the gallows?
Oh, all right. Well, I had some at Portofino's the other day. Tempura prawns would start me off. A nice sirloin steak for the main course, and an apple crumble for the final course.
All right. Last question today, and last one from Jeff. Have you ever had an embarrassing wardrobe malfunction?
Oh God, Jeff. Yes. Okay, here goes. I was invited to a dinner at 10 Downing Street, okay, when John Major was the Prime Minister, as part of the work I was doing with the Home Office. And for certain people, including me, we were given the opportunity to stand in front of the fire in 10 Downing Street and have our photograph taken with John Major. And it wasn't until I had the picture taken that I stepped back and went back amongst the crowd that I realised just before I had the picture taken, I'd been to the bog and I had my picture taken with John Major with me fly open.
Oh, dear me, oh.
Fortunately, it didn't go public. It wasn't that open, shall we say.
Very good, very good. As always, George, been an absolute pleasure listening to you. Thank you to John Askew and Jeff in particular, but all of you in the chat as well for some wonderful questions. Some about football, of course, but obviously some as well about George and his personal life, which George is only too kind to answer. George, thanks very much. And we are going to be doing later in the week on Thursday, we're going to be doing Ask George and Neil. You said it might be an idea to get your son on with you and do one with him. So we're going to do the two of you on Thursday night, which should be a good laugh.
Thank you all very much indeed. I do appreciate your kind words. It is really nice. Thank you very much.
Take care, George. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Steve.